Your live interactive Weather Authority coverage will begin shortly. Your live Weather Authority coverage starts right now.
Good evening, everyone. Hope everybody's having a nice evening out there. Tomorrow looks to be a pretty quiet-looking day. Of course, all eyes are on our Friday storm system. We have a lot of variables in the storm. It's going to bring with it the potential for power outages. In fact, let's just call it likely at this point. Coastal flooding looks likely. There's the chance for river and stream flooding. A flash freeze is possible as well. A lot of different variables. Mountains will get a little bit of snow. And we're going to discuss all of that in tonight's Facebook Live. We still have a few days out, so I'm sure we're probably going to tweak a few things, but we're starting to get a pretty good idea, and it's time to start talking specifics about our Friday storm system here. It's actually a Thursday night through Friday storm, and I don't know about you, but it might be a good time to start preparing for power outages. I was just thinking of that tonight. I was like, okay, probably should get some gas for the generator, maybe plug in the electronics, get them all charged up, maybe get some flashlights ready, that kind of thing, because this one certainly has the potential to produce some widespread outages, and it may produce the strongest winds we've had since the maybe the blackout storm in 2017, the October 30th storm 2017. Let's hope it's not that bad. We also had another October storm in 2019. I think we had 62 miles per hour in that one. And this one will be similar to that. I think our peak wind gusts get into the 55 to 65 mile per hour range. So nobody wants that 2 days before Christmas, but that appears to be what's it's heading into our direction here. Today is the shortest day of the year. Today is the winter solstice. So there it is. We captured a sunset on the shortest day of the year. So we're going to start our broadcast tonight by talking about the good stuff first, right? We're trying to be the optimists. It's nice out there today, nice out there this evening. And tomorrow's a decent day. It's just cloudy. Notice snow showers in northern Maine. Those will be coming to an end. Let's widen things out. I don't know why that skips over that graphic. There it is. That's the graphic I wanted to show you. There's an area of low pressure, and the leading edge of that Arctic cold is right in here. So we're starting to see the storm materialize with some snow up into the northern Great Lakes, up in the Midwest. Also take note what's lurking down in here. Both of these are going to be working up into our area to produce a pretty sizable storm that's going to have all those different variables. It's going to be a pretty wild storm. One of the more dynamic storms I can think of since I've been working here over the last 20 years. All right, here we are at about 7 o'clock in the morning on Friday now. We're getting into the worst of the storm. I want to highlight probably about, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. That's our strongest wind, and we're getting to some of the heaviest rainfall early in the day as well. So the wind's cranking out of the southeast. The wind direction will be southeast, meaning the wind comes out of the southeast. Notice it's snowing in the mountains, though. Some higher elevations will get some snow out of this one. We'll get into the more details on that in just a second here. But there probably will be a small lull early afternoon before the cold front moves through. And this is probably one of the more dramatic cold fronts that I can remember forecasting, because we're going to go from low 50s in some cases down to teens over a very short period of time. If you're part of a road crew that needs to salt the roads, I think the time frame for a flash freeze potential is going to be 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. On Friday. So we're going to go from probably low 50s into 20s in that time range. And we're probably going to be heading into the teens by early morning. And let's hope we hold on to power here. Electricity Saturday, Sunday. Of course, it's the holiday. Everybody wants electricity here. But another more bad news about this, it's going to get cold. It's modified Arctic air. We're going to be in the low to mid 20s for highs, and lows will be in the low teens. So let's take a look at the storm tracker. Tomorrow, no problems, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Temperatures will be in the 30s tomorrow. I think we'll get into some rain and snow as soon as tomorrow night. So here we are at 2 o'clock in the morning, and we're talking about some heavier rain starting to get into the area. There's a rain snow line, of course, associated with this. There will be some heavy wet snow in the areas that got the heaviest snowfall in this last storm system. I think there'll be two peaks of snowfall amounts. One will be in the White Mountains in New Hampshire here. We'll get over 6 inches, over a half foot of snow here. And another one up towards Carrabassett Valley, Sugarloaf, Saddleback area. And we're talking specifically the higher elevations. You get over 2,000 feet in elevation, I think there's a real possibility that we'll get 6 inches of snow or more. Now, down in the valleys here, in that little circle that I just highlighted for you, we're probably only looking at maybe a coating to 2 or 2 to 4 inches of snow because it will transition over to some rain. This one has a very big bust factor as far as snow goes, because the precip is going to be very heavy. And if it holds on to snow even an hour or two longer, we could be talking about a lot more in snowfall there. So that's something to watch. And of course, if it transitions to rain quicker, then it's a lot less. But that's my best estimate this far out. Here we are at 7:30 in the morning, Friday. The wind is cranking. We're already looking at winds probably gusting to 40 to 50 miles per hour here. And air temperatures will be in the upper 40s and low 50s. The exception in the mountains here, you're looking at temperatures still in the 30s. In this window here. So the strongest winds, I think our peak wind gusts will be 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. So probably my guess is most of us will get a peak wind gust probably late morning, somewhere in there. It's more likely 1 p.m. from mid-coast Maine. So the farther east you are, the later, the stronger winds will be arriving in your neck of the woods. Let's take you to about 1 o'clock in the afternoon now. Here's that lull. Will have already reached our peak wind or our maximum winds at this point. And there's a lull, but then there's a cold front that swings through. See that second front right there? It's actually the front. It's not a second front. This means business. I can't stress this enough because we're looking at temps in the 50s here, and look at Laconia. Wow, it's going to be just like that. I think we're probably talking 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. for that flash freeze potential, maybe a little bit earlier, 5 p.m. to about 9 p.m. Regardless, it's evening into the first part of the night. The back edge of the cold front swings out, temps cool down to the 20s, and we're probably dealing with temperatures in the teens by the time you get up Saturday morning. And we'll only top out in the low 20s for highs on Saturday. I think mid-20s will be common for highs going into our Sunday. So Sunday is Christmas Day, and let's hope we have power. I think it's probably a good possibility that we prepare for not having power, though, for the weekend. All right, 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Friday. Notice the winds here. They're out of the southeast still. Let's get that out of here. We don't need that. I thought this was my wind graphic. This is not my wind graphic. I want to show you how dramatic this wind is, this temperature drop is. 50s at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, low 50s here. As that front swings through, 7 p.m., we're dipping into the 30s, and then eventually 20s at 11 o'clock at night on Friday, and eventually teens to start the day on Saturday. So I wish I had better news on this, but it's going to, from a meteorological perspective, it's kind of exciting to see, but nobody wants to see that heading into a weekend and a holiday weekend at that. We haven't talked about the coastal flood watch. The Weather Service has issued a coastal flood watch for Friday afternoon through Friday morning through Friday afternoon. We're watching the 10:16 a.m. high tide due to the full moon cycle. It's already running high. It's one of the highest of the month, 11.3 feet. Flood stage in Portland is 12 feet. I would say coastal flooding is likely around the time of high tide. There will be waves building, I think it was 13 to 17 feet out in the Gulf of Maine during the day. And then at nighttime, waves will be running 17 to 22 feet. So there'll be 20-foot waves in the Gulf of Maine late in the day Friday. That's not going to line up with our high tide, which is good news there. But there will be the potential for minor flooding is likely. Moderate coastal flooding is possible. And that's something to not take too lightly here, because there's some forecast model guidance suggesting we could get into the top 10 highest tides on record if this is right. So something to watch. Minor coastal flooding possible, moderate. Minor coastal flooding is likely, moderate is possible. That's what we're going with there. And again, it's at 10:16 a.m. high tide. So some big waves are going to be out in the Gulf of Maine as well. Flood watches have been issued by the Weather Service for just plain old rain and snow melts. Not only rainfall, 1 to 3 inches of rain, but also the snow melting that could produce some rivers and streams up to pushing bankful here. And that may last into Saturday morning. Some of the more reactive rivers like the Saco River, the Bzumskert River, the Sandy River, these areas could jump up to flood stage Friday afternoon. Some of these less reactive rivers like the Kennebec River, the Androscoggin River, those come to mind right away. That may actually take until Saturday morning to potentially flood. So we're going to keep an eye on that as well. It's not just the rain falling, but it's also the snow melt. Here's one projection. Take it with a grain of salt. This is just a forecast model. Hopefully that Mount Washington one's wrong. But we're looking at about 1 to 3 inches of rain. And again, the mountains will get some snow. And you can see why this has a huge bust factor for snow. In these little areas that we highlighted for the heaviest snowfall, hey, maybe it will for a little while. Maybe we hold on to low 30s a little bit longer than anticipated, and we get a foot of snow up there. I mean, that's a possibility. But I think at this point, we feel confident saying that those areas just highlighted, 6+ inches, Yeah, it's possible you get more than that. 6-12. Yeah, it's not out of the question. But I think many areas in the valleys get the 2 to 4, 2 to 5, something like that. And it's probably maybe a coating to an inch or two in these areas right here. So most of southern and central Maine gets nothing out of this. If you get maybe a little bit of snow at the onset back through the hills, it's gonna melt pretty quickly with that rain on top of it. But the higher elevations, that bears watching. We could get an interesting little sneaky snow event if the temperatures stay cold enough for a little while. But even there, I think you'll transition to rain. Okay, so the number one story we're watching here is the wind. High wind watches have been issued, and the Weather Service issues this when there is the potential for wind gusts over 50 miles per hour. And this will likely transition to a high wind warning, possibly a wind advisory for some areas, and that will happen tomorrow. The Weather Service will make the call on that tomorrow. Let's take a look at one projection as far as the wind goes. By the time you get it Friday morning, I think the wind's already cranking. It's out of the southeast, and we're gusting over 40 miles per hour. That's about 6:30 in the morning, 6:37. So we may be starting to get power outages as soon as Friday morning, 6, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. I've been highlighting 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. This is probably our strongest wind. So this is 10 o'clock in the morning, and I think this lines up pretty well with what we're forecasting. We're forecasting a 55 to 65 mile per hour peak wind gust. And that's enough for, some widespread outages. Doesn't look great. If everything works out, maybe we get a little bit less. Maybe it's 50 miles per hour, and then it will be a lot less of an impact as far as outages go. That's what we can hope for. This is what we should probably prepare for at this point. This is 10 o'clock in the morning, and notice how the winds relax a bit. Still strong, though, as we go into the evening hours. Gusts over 40 continue. That's about 5:30 in the afternoon, evening, and then it looks like we're starting to see the colder air come in on a very, very rapid westerly wind, west-southwest wind. It's kind of an odd wind direction for a cool town. There's your 7-day. Tomorrow's cloudy. There's your weather warning for Friday for wind. It's wind, coastal flooding, river flooding, flash freeze. I can only fit one icon on there, though. Saturday, Sunday, hey, there's Santa. He's going to come to town. Temps in the 20s, lows in the teens. I don't know. I hope we have power for the weekend. I really do, but we should prepare to not have that, I think, at this point. Temperatures will be in the upper 20s next week. There are no major storms in the forecast after this Friday system here. So those of you who plan on doing any traveling or anything like that, I think we're in pretty good shape after this Friday storm system here. Those of you just joining us on Facebook Live, Twitter, YouTube, thanks for joining us. This is really, it's kind of the same message we've had all week. We're just getting a little more specific on some of the numbers right here. So hopefully I've been able to answer all your questions here. We got a few comments I can run down for you here. Traveling Saturday morning, Eric says, 7 a.m. I think winds it'll be raining for most areas, and we're probably talking about gusts over 40 miles per hour at 7 a.m. here, Eric. Localized flooding. Let's see. Pete says, wanted to take advantage of the rain and go kayaking, but maybe too cold Saturday morning. Oh, yeah. Saturday morning. Sorry. Pete, you're pretty robust if you want to do a little kayaking in winter. I like it. But yeah, Saturday looks cold. It's still windy. Probably 20s. Wind chills will be in the single digits and teens. Friday morning's not great either. So sorry about that. I don't know. Kayaking. It's tough to go kayaking in December, though. I love that you like to do that. You're an ambitious guy, Pete. Be safe, everyone, Ron says. Merry Christmas to you as well, Ron. Let's see. Let's see. Diane says, I am from Sanford. Hello, Diane. I guess you probably have another question up here. Yeah, Sanford will have mainly rain, it looks like, with some strong winds. Rain and wind. Hi from OOB. Tommy says, hello, Tommy. How are you? Damaging wind and the potential for outages and coastal flooding. The wave's going to be nuts there at Old Orchard Beach. It'll be fun to watch. Any widespread snow, Joshua asks. That's a great question. I want to go skiing again. And to answer your question, no. Don't see anything coming down the road. Nothing that will really get us excited, at least. No big snow events coming down the road. We started the winter saying it's going to be kind of a wimpy winter. And the most dramatic time range will probably be in December. And so far it's working out. I did say we would have snow on the ground Christmas morning. That was back in September. But, I feel like this storm is a waste. I mean, 100 miles to the east and we're in a blizzard. So, and we would have a lot more than just a little snow on the ground Christmas morning. That's not the case, though. Got close. We have a brown Christmas. Is Midcoast, Lizzie says, going to get the strongest winds? Yes, you are. I think you'll get peak wind gusts over 60 miles per hour. Let's take a look at that wind gust graphic one more time. We have a flash flood warning. There we go. All right. That's rain tracker. Here's snow. All right. So here's the wind for you here, Lizzie. We're probably talking about gusts over 40 as soon as 6:30 in the morning Friday. And the peak wind gusts, my guess is the strongest winds will be felt right in here. And Portland may get over 60 miles per hour as well. If that happens, it'll be the first time since 2019. And of course, the Halloween blackout is the one that everybody remembers. One I remember. Happened early in the morning, 6 something in the morning, I remember. Gregory says, hello from Bowdoin. Hello, Gregory. Driving to Surrey, best time to leave. Ooh. Best time? That's a good question. I think the strongest winds will be morning, early afternoon, but then you have the flash freeze during the evening and early nighttime hours. So, I mean, really anytime during the day is probably fine. My guess, I think there'll be a low. You know what? Let's highlight 1 p.m. to maybe 6 p.m. on Friday for the best time to drive anywhere. I think it's after the strongest winds and before the flash freeze. I like that. Good question, Peter. If you're driving, 1 p.m. to 6 p.m., I think that's the best. If you had to pick a time. Is Saco in this mess? Oh, yeah, Saco's in the mess. Yeah, everyone's in the mess. It's just going to be windy, rainy. Sorry, Susan. Wish I had better news. Let's see. Ron says 60 miles per hour winds means more tree limbs down in our dooryard. Yeah, you're going to get tree limbs down, I think. Yeah, Jay, more the same. And Hollowell, sorry, wish I had better news for you. I think there's the potential for widespread outages. Roads may get ice coated. Yep, I think that's certainly a real possibility. Holly, or Ann? Holly or Ann? Not sure which one is your first name. Sorry, but Ann or Holly, I'm going to say probably 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. is our best chance for getting a flash freeze on Friday night. Will wind dry out the roads? They will, I think, Erica. A good question. Usually they do, but I think the temperature drop is just going to be too dramatic for the wind to really dry up the roads that quickly. So it's rare that we get flash freezes. It doesn't happen that often because of what you just described, the wind picking up. But the wind will stay active, and hopefully that will dry up the roads quickly. But it's just going to be such a dramatic drop so quickly. You got to notice it. You'll probably notice the cold front coming through. And it'll be fun to watch the temperatures. You'll go from probably upper 40s, low 50s down to 20s over maybe just a 2-3 hour period. It's going to get nuts. It really will. Gee, that's crazy. All right. I think I got all the questions here. All right, folks. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. We're still a ways away from the storm. So again, this is Thursday night and Friday. So we're going to have more updates coming up tomorrow. Probably let's plan on doing this around the same time. If you have more questions, pop it in around then, but not the greatest news, right? But of course, it could always be worse. Hope everybody has a nice night. Decent day tomorrow. That's Storm System Thursday night, Friday. All right, take care.